Hey there, everyone. So a couple days ago, I made a video explaining what was in our TMR and what our cows ate, and I was talking about the different additives that we put in, and I mentioned something about a toxin binder, and I had someone ask a question. They said, "What is a toxin binder?" And essentially, what does that do? Um, so there's these things that we encounter in our feed sometimes called mycotoxins. Essentially, it's a mold. It comes from a lot of times you can get molds through feed spoilage. Too damp conditions in the field sometimes can cause it. If it rains a lot before we harvest our corn, sometimes that corn stalk can get some mold growing on it, and then when we chop it, put it in the silo, it can cause problems with our cows. A lot of times, mycotoxins show up in rumination, decreased rumination, basically digestive issues with the cows. They're not digesting right. They get upset stomachs. It can show up in decreased milk production, usually kind of goes along with that. Whenever there's a digestive issue with the cows, milk production is typically decreased. It can also affect reproduction. We don't get cows bred as well when there's a mycotoxin problem. Um, so a lot of times that can affect reproduction. Um, let's see, it could suppress like immune system, causing them to maybe get not so much sick from the mycotoxins themselves, but sick from something else comes along. So what we do to prevent that is we add in a toxin binder. So it's basically like some examples would be like a charcoal or a clay product that kind of essentially traps the mycotoxins and it prevents them from kind of entering the bloodstream where they can cause harm to the cows. Um, so yeah, that's kind of why we try to put that in almost as a preventative step. There's not always mycotoxins in your feed, but sometimes you don't catch it, and you want to stop that before you start having problems. Because usually by the time you start seeing issues in your cows, especially with reproduction, it's usually because it's been in there for a while undetected, and you're already causing issues. So we typically will add a toxin binder year round, and then if we would detect a problem, we can sample our feed and check for the level of toxins in the feed. And if we do see a high level of toxins in there, then we can add in maybe a secondary toxin binder to give more of a kind of a higher rate of protection there. And another question that was asked in that same video that I wanted to cover was I did explain a little bit, I guess, about the corn that we have in our feed. And there can be some digestive issues with that as well. So when we're grinding our corn, we want to make any feed. We want to make things as fine as possible because the finer particles you have in your feed, the easier the cows will be able to digest it, and the more nutrient value they will get out of it. So digestibility is key when it comes to feed, because a lot of times if corn kernels in particular are usually something that's hard to digest by a cow's body. So we can tell when that cow is not digesting it correctly actually in their manure. We will see whole pieces of corn in their manure, and that usually means that they're not getting their nutrient value out of that corn. So we try to address that problem, whether it's grinding the corn finer, or maybe sometimes our corn is too dry, and that can cause digestive issue. It's a lot harder to digest drier corn. We try to make our corn our whole shelled corn a little bit wetter, just so that it's an easier product to digest that way than like a dry kerneled corn, because there's that added moisture. So hopefully that answers that question. I'm not sure if that's what you were looking for or not, but hopefully I was able to shed a little bit of light on toxin binders as well. And like I said, these videos, hey, feel free to ask questions. I'd love to answer them. My goal here is to educate people and to help there to be a better understanding of how dairy farms work and how we care for our cows. So thanks for watching.